Okay, welcome to another episode of Gloved. Obviously, we're involved in something at the moment. We're all locked in. We're all trying to stay safe. But at the same time, we've used this opportunity. Nigel De Jong, what a player, what a man. We've managed to contact him. He's out there in the Far East representing, getting us ready for the World Cup, playing some football, playing some golf, and smiling and putting smiles on people's faces. But we've got him over Zoom, got Jamie in the house, and we're going to go back. We're going to find out what makes Nigel De Jong Nigel De Jong. And that's not just a simple, brilliant footballer and character that he is. It's how he got to that point, the big decisions he went through, the reasons why he ended up walloping people in the middle of that centre midfield. So, Nigel, welcome. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thanks for the introduction, man.
off the bat, that, mate.
Great introduction. But you know, I would give you an introduction like that, Nigel, because I've heard some tales about you. So, yeah, I've heard some tales about you. Welcome. I think, for me, it's great to have you on. I know we'll get to, you've had a very interesting and colourful career, but certainly to be playing in front of this guy, in some key moments. So we're looking forward to hearing those from you. Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot away, man.
So, Joe, should we jump in? I think take him back to his younger days before we go to get to Manchester, because Nigel, you came from what is regarded as one of the best football academies in the world, and is a machine for producing talent. So how first of all, how did you get into the Ajax Academy? What was that about?
Well, when you're young, and especially in that time that we're talking about the early 90s, there were actually like two teams or three teams that you looked up to as a young kid. It was Ajax, PSV Eindhoven, and Feyenoord, Rotterdam. And me living in Amsterdam and born and raised in Amsterdam, the choice was already made for me. So it was only Ajax at that time. And what you said yourself, that academy produced some great players. And we had to thinking about, in that time, at my age, young Patrick Kluivert, Clarence Seedorf, that whole 95 Champions League winning team under Louis van Gaal. So as a young kid, that's where you want to end up to. So when I started playing football when I was like 4 or 5 years old in an amateur team, just a local team in my neighborhood. And then every year, Ajax had the opportunity for kids to come out and showcase their skills. And they invite like 30 to 50,000 kids in Amsterdam just to come out there. And then you had some scouting guys at the sideline, and they would pick these players out who thought they seen as having talents. And I just signed myself in one of those days. It was calling the talent scouting days of Ajax. So that was once a year. So I signed myself in, went there with my mom, obvious. And I just trained. So just did 5 against 5, 6 against 6, and just showcasing your skills. And that was at the age of 6, I think, 6 or 7. Wow. And then you go so you have 4 rounds. So you go to the next round, the 3rd round, and the 4th round. So every time I had one of those sessions, I went back home and I got another letter from the Ajax Academy that you could come back. So me being excited every time till the 4th time, I went back to Ajax. And then the final step, obvious, was they broke it down till about 1,000 kids. And then the last day, you did a little game against 8 against 8 against the guys that were already in the Ajax Academy, just showcasing your skills if you can level with them. And apparently I did so well. I think about 2 weeks later, after that last training session, I got a letter saying, congratulations, you're now officially a member of the Ajax Academy. So that was it. I was in, 7 years old. I was in, got the full kit, the Ajax Umbro kit back then. So proud as a peacock, and just going there, and that was the start. So at 7 years old, So,
So at 6 years old, you signed yourself in.
yeah,
That was what. I can only look at my son now. He's 5 years old.
Yeah,
coming up 6.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how I thought back then, but he's got no thought process whatsoever of what he wants to do or where he wants to be. So that's already showing at 6 years old. If you're making that decision, where your head's at.
You gotta understand, Joe. This was all before pre-social media, so there was nothing else. There was nothing else for us to do than play football outside, or watch television, your cartoons, and that was it. So there was no other thing for us to do. So for me, it was just football, and you cannot forget, my dad was a professional football player.
Yep.
So I was really in that circle of like, these guys, training, and just like the whole process behind it. So for me, it was just football, pure football. And one of the fundamentals for me was in Amsterdam, in Holland, street football is a big thing. So you learn the basics on the streets, on courts. You play against different courts in different areas.
Oh, really? Right.
After school, I was on the streets. I was playing football. So that's why, as a 6-year-old, I think when I look back now and I see the 6-year-olds from nowadays, I think back in the days, we had so much different skills. So we were so much better at that age regarding football.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why.
And you think that's because today people are like this?
Yeah. I see that my own son, with all due respect, he loves football. Don't get me wrong, but he's on PlayStation. He got an iPad. You know what I mean? Like, if you see him doing the schoolwork right now, he's on e-learning because we have to stay inside. But everything is just automatic, like on the computer and stuff like that. So they get drawn to this screen so much that they forget like there's an outside life. So we as parents, we have to learn our kids, like, listen, you can only go on there an hour or 2 hours a day. And
that's so important.
You know what I mean? Because what I've noticed now is every kid have always the tendency like to say, it's boring. It's so boring inside. It's boring. So what we do as a parent, we give an iPad or go on the PlayStation or whatever. No, from boredom, you create something. Yeah. So I always let them bored. And then they create something at the end of the day, like half an hour later, they're outside or like they're playing together or whatever.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have that back in the day. So if I told my mom I was bored back in the days, I said, what?
Go outside.
I'd be cleaning. Yeah, cleaning. You can cook for me. Okay, I'll go outside and play football.
Go outside and play.
Exactly.
And is that where you said street football was where the basics were? Is that where you not only got your tactical, but was there another side like your, being a midfielder and playing against? Did you play against bigger kids and older kids?
Yeah. Not to forget, I was a number 9 back in the days. I was a number 9, like a number 10.
Not another striker.
Joe can't believe it, but I was banging in goals for fun. But you can't imagine it now because, like, throughout the years, I became so much defensive-wise. But I mean, the technique that I had, I was a grinder, man. I was a number 10. I was a grinder. You know what I mean? I was a box-to-box player. I was attacking. So when you're back on the streets, like the thing is, yeah, of course, you develop your technical skills, but the mental skills are more important in the street because it's surviving. You gotta understand, if you play 4 against 4 in the streets and you lose, there's a line waiting, with like other teams who want to play. So if you lose, you have to go back in the queue and wait for at least 45 minutes. So we were like, nah, we're not losing. So that's where you get the mental strength as well of like try to win games.
Yeah. That's
at that age, who was your hero? Who were you looking up to? Who did you want to be?
I didn't really have a heroes, but like I was like amazed of. But I remember like the first guy I really like adored or was like, his aura was Romario.
Yeah.
Because Dad played at PSV Eindhoven in the time 88, 89. And I used to go with him to his training ground and I saw Romario there. So that was the first time as a kid I was like, yeah.
Special talent.
Special talent, the way he was training, lazy, but the things that he was doing on training, amazing. He was always playing around with a tennis ball or like some type of like tape, duct tape rolled up.
Yeah.
He was in the dressing room doing all these skills. And I was like, as a young kid, like, wow, I want to be like him, when I grow up. but I was never like really starstruck. I never had posters in my room,
Mm-hmm.
so, stuff like that. But Mario was the first one.
And your dad played as well?
My dad played as well. Yeah, he was a professional player for PSV Eindhoven that time in the national team. He played. I think he had 5 caps for the national team.
So you had, a good mentor then.
Yeah, well, my dad and my mom separated when I was young. So when I was like 4 years old, 5 years old. So my mentor was actually my mom. My mom was like the tough one. She was the tough one because she was a single parent. She was sick. So, like she was the mentor. She was really like, listen, nothing in this life comes for free. You always have to work for your stuff. And me being a black kid with a white mom, because I'm half, my dad is black. So it was like a double kind of, thing going on when I was growing up, because I always had to fight. Yeah, I always had to fight against like opinions and stuff like that.
Prejudice.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting that seems to be a bit of a theme, doesn't it, Joe? That we, all the guys, mums have played a big role. The assumption is it's dad, but mum has always played a big role in all the guys and the people that we've had on. And so that's that's interesting.
Yeah, I think like as a kid, I think the mom is always going to be the base. It just depends on what kind of household you've been living in. I mean, sometimes it's dad, sometimes it's the mom. But like what you hear, like a lot of stories, you hear like parents are separated. The kid lives by one or the other parent, and then he looks up to the other parent because you can't forget your parent. One of your parents is always going to be your first idol. You always idolize your parents to grow up with them. So for me, it was exactly the same thing. So it was just hustling, man, back in the day. So it was no joke. It's just like hustling. She was strict. She would smack my ass. You know what I mean? Like it was just one of those, like no joke. You got to learn. You got to learn quick.
But you knew the rules and you knew where you stood, and she loved you when she needed to love you, and then she was hard on you when she needed to be hard on you.
Definitely.
And so what was, so you're in the Ajax Academy at 7. Is the dream to play for Ajax, or is the dream to kick on to World Cup finals with Holland, go to the Premier League? Were they the dreams, or was it just taking it day by day, see what happened?
No, day by day. At that age, when you're like 7, 8 years old, you only think about one thing, and that's making it to the arena that you train across from.
Yeah,
that was the dream for me. So I was not thinking about bigger things. And you got to think about also Ajax at that time was one of the number 1 clubs in the world. Winning the league in '95. So there was no reason to look abroad. And the Premier League was not the Premier League how it is nowadays. So they came later. So for me, it was just like playing for Ajax, playing for the first team, try to make it, and then hopefully the national team, because that was a big honor for me as well.
And coaches, mentors, school, how was that for you?
School was okay. I mean, like in the beginning when you're like in that age, school is it's just a normal thing. But when you come in that teenager age, like 12, 13, other things are going to be important. For thinkers are important. Hormones are kicking in. What I mean? You go out with your friends and stuff like that. But the good thing was that Ajax Academy always provided an school in the academy, so you could train and then do school work as well.
Yeah.
That's why it's regarded like as one of the best school talent factories in the world, because they combine all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had a mother that was not messing about. She was like, nah, you're gonna do school, you know what I mean? Or no, and I'll kick you off football. It's either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of football today, and your golf, what other interests do you have outside of football today?
It's a hard question though. I mean, I got golf and football in my mind 24/7, especially now. It is a locked up life, man. Locked down life. Now, I mean, I got a great family, so my interest is now like, it shifted in doing the best, like with family and the family time that I have, with my kids. Try to make them like just realize that it's more about school and about computer games or whatsoever. But I love the fact behind football, like the business behind football, marketing, managing, not really on the pitch, but like what's going on behind the football world.
Mm-hmm.
But you're working big with the World Cup, with it being out in Qatar. That's important for you as well, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, it's very important. It's important, for me to see also like what's going on behind the scenes, like the facilities that they provide for the teams that will come out here. You got all these like opinions that's going across the world about this place, but as long as you don't come here and see what's going on, you can't judge. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a great country, it's so safe, and the facilities that they're building for this World Cup are going to be amazing. Yeah. So I'm glad that I'm part of it, and I can see it, and I can pass the information to the people who haven't been here yet.
Big. So all the way through the academy to making your debut for Ajax, for making that big move, how did that feel? Where were you at mentally? Did you want to be the big guy around town? Did you want to just be the footballer? You obviously had it was your local city. How did that feel?
Well, it was the best feeling ever. I made my debut when I was 17 years old. I just turned 17. So that was big for me.
Was that unheard of, Nigel, at that time? Was that unheard of?
Not unheard of, but, because the Ajax Academy, they are famous to produce young kids that come up on a young age. But in that time, it was quite unheard of, because that was at the moment that we were like buying all these new players from abroad, and we just had money. So it was just like, like they were not really looking at the producing side of like the Ajax Academy. So it was 3 or 4 talents coming out in that time through the ranks. It was me, Snyder, Van der Vaart, Heitinga. Yeah, so it was a great generation, and I remember coming through the ranks and coming in that dressing room as a 17-year-old kid, and just happy that you made it, proud. You see your mom, you see your family in the stadium. So it was just one of those great moments.
And you've become a leader. Like, you were a leader of a group even at a young age. With when I started working with you, that was your mentality. Who did you get that from, or is that just in you? Was there someone in that dressing room then that you were like, this is someone who knows how to? Because we had fun. Like, I'm the same mentality as you. I want to have as much fun as I can. But when it comes to football, when it comes to those kind of big decisions, I want it to be serious. I want it to be intense. And that's something that I got from being around the kind of people that I looked up to. Is that something that was in that dressing room then, or is that just you?
You're around people like Christian Kivu, you're around Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you're Aaron Winter, Richard Witzer. It's like all these guys, all the mentality they have is like you're looking up to as a 17-year-old. Even when you think sometimes like, like it's not in my position or whatsoever, but it's just like the characters there in that dressing room. And for me, it was the same. Like you have to have it from yourself, the mentality to win, and to strive yourself to the highest. But at the other side, it's just like you have to have also the examples in the dressing room to mold that character. So yeah, for me, that was important that I had that experience in the dressing room at an early age.
Yeah, and I feel with something that I really liked about you, apart from on the field, is how you spoke, how you weren't confrontational in terms of, you didn't just want to argue with people, but if you felt something was needed to be said, or if you felt a situation was wrong with even if it was with your close teammate, or even if it was the coach, Roberto, we learned over the years that he worked with confrontation. He quite enjoyed it. So, but not everyone was brave enough to do it. We were in an all-star dressing room. It was something that was new to me. You were in an all-star dressing room from 17. I wasn't. Simple as that. My dressing room became more all-star the further we went. And so it wasn't as easy to be as, not brave, but if you had something in your head that you were dying to say, I've only really learned how to do that over the last 5 or 6 years. You had that in you. You've had that in you from a very young age. Is that something that you're that passionate and that confident in how you speak, or is that just you as a person? How did you get that side of you? Because that side of you really impressed me.
Well, that's just something that I had already in for a long time. I mean, that's how I've been molded from a young age. My mom always say, you got to speak out regardless, because my upbringing was not like as smooth as most of the guys. So being on the streets in Amsterdam, you had to speak up. And confrontation is just a part of life. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to fight. No, I mean, you can also fight with words. So for me, it was always like you have to speak up, get in this confrontation, and then at the end of the day, it's out of your system, because nothing is more frustrating that you want to say something, but you're afraid of saying it, and they keep it inside, and you go back, you go home, and then you have it in you, and you have all these scenarios in your mind, like as if I said it, if I did this, if I did that. So
somebody else, you say it to somebody else, and you should have said it to the person at the time.
For me, confrontation was just a normal thing at a young age. Sometimes it's more positive than the others that are other time. But I mean, for me, also in dressing room, like especially at City, like for me, it was just like a common thing. That's just me as a person, and I always go for the confrontation. Not disrespectful. I'll never disrespectful.
That's what I was trying to say. You didn't say it because you just wanted to cause a fight, or you didn't like someone. Like, for instance, even if I did something out of line, we got on, or Jolyon, or your close guys, you'd be the first to point that out.
Of course.
I really enjoyed that part of our team. I really enjoyed that part of the Man City team. The guys who really started to win stuff and come good. That's the reason why I thought we did, because you can throw as much money as you want into something. And yes, there were some great players, but the personalities they were fucking huge, and they were different. They were different. There were some people you could start a fight with someone, they wouldn't say nothing. Carlos would just disappear. You wouldn't see anything from him, but you knew when he was pissed, because people were getting. One, he'd score about 100 goals. Two, he'd be flattening the biggest person he could possibly find. Your arms up like this, threatening people. Colo glazed over. Vinny just head exploded. Like, everyone was different. Milner was freakish strength. Micah, tears coming down his eyes. It was nearly carnage once a week.
Yeah, 100%. And also he had like characters like Yaya, who was not afraid to stepping up and say, he's always laughing around, but when he was serious, he could not mess around, because he had a pure African strength. That was
his threat always.
They had Mario Balotelli acting like a clown and always like made us mad and crazy. And you know how many bust-ups I already had with him in that time. So it's just like...
And even Roberto, like our coach, leader, was so on the edge.
On the edge. He was always an Italian passion, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then he played in the dressing room and not afraid to speaking up. And that caused a little bit like a rift in the dressing room, and like going apart from each other, because we were just speaking up, and instead of listening to both sides, our egos clashed so much. That was the beginning of the end.
It had a shelf life. Like, the whole thing had a small shelf life, and I think we got the most out of it that we possibly could with the ingredients we had.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Sometimes speaking up is good, but sometimes it's not, because in certain situations you're dealing with a group and not as an individual. You have to think about the bigger group. Sometimes I thought I was thinking about the group, but I will affect the group eventually and affect myself, because at the end of the day, I got punished for the things that I said.
Exactly.
How was that? You've come through, again, a revered academy, and then you go to your first move after Ajax was Hamburg.
Hamburg, yeah.
Yeah. So you've gone from Netherlands to Germany, not too dissimilar in culture. Dutch people like to speak up, very direct. Germans, you would say, similar as well. How was that move to Hamburg, and how did that shape you going from Amsterdam to then, your first move internationally?
Well, it was a big transition, even though like we are neighbors as a country and we're quite similar in characters and quite similar in the way we live. We're very different when it comes down to certain stuff. Germans are quite cold when it comes down to the old opinions. They're quite laid back. They're not really talking as much as Dutch people. And in their eyes, we're quite loud. We're always in our face. So I really had to learn with that. because there was like a 20-year-old coming from Amsterdam, thought he was the shit, right? Like I was playing for Ajax, I played with all these great stars, and then I came in Hamburg. It was a big club in Germany, but not in Europe. So I was the main man, right? So I come in there like blazing, what you want? Hey, I'm the best. 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
They put me down quick. They get me off that cloud quick, because the one thing that Germans do is they don't speak a lot, but they work. They show you how to work. So I came in there, thought I had the abilities to be that number one player, right? And I just lost it on condition and strength. Because in Amsterdam, the Dutch school is not about physique. It's not about your physical strength. It's about your technical abilities. So when I came in Germany, I thought I could do the same, but I couldn't, because their condition is top notch. So that brought me back, real quick. So I really had to adjust like 6 months to 7 months. I picked up an injury here, picked up an injury there, because I had to adjust my body to that physical game. So it was a difficult transition.
How did you adjust? Because 20, thinking you're the shit, going to Germany, Hamburg, you could easily just come, I don't need this. Like so many players who've got potential go, I don't need this. I don't need anyone telling me that I'm not that guy. How did you think, shit, I need to really rethink what I am. All right, I've got this talent, but I need to turn into something else. I should be looking up to these German players. So I don't necessarily, the second centre mid, I didn't even know who he was before I came, but now I'm looking at him thinking, look at the way this guy trains. How did you do that at 20 years old, cocky guy from, playing with Zlatan Ibrahimovic? How did you do that?
Well, for my luck, I had a good circle around me with my friends, my manager and my mom. And they were always on the phone, like when I was in a hotel and it was like pissing down, or it was snowing outside and it was minus 20 degrees, like just sitting in a hotel by yourself and just like thinking about like, you don't want to do it anymore. So I was lucky in that sense. And then I had Rafael van der Vaart and Khalid Boularus that were there before me. So I could talk to as well in difficult times. And they told me the same thing, like, Nigel, you have to adjust here. Like you're so angry, you're so like thinking about like, you're the main man, and, the press couldn't talk to me because like, I was like, the press was like, for me, the media was like the opponent, they were like the villains, because they were always talking shit, they were always writing shit. So I was always that angry, and they was like, Nigel, just let it go. This is a different world. You have to adjust. To make it, you have to adjust. You have to change your mindset.
It wasn't your football.
It was my football, yeah. And
it wasn't your football. It was, you had to adjust here.
I had to adjust mentally. It was not my football, because everybody knew my qualities. They bought me because they know I got the qualities. They see me these 3 years with Ajax. So it was not that. It was just I had to make a mental change in my mind. I said, okay, listen, either you want to go for it, or you can go back, you can cry and say you want to make a move, but you're going to come exactly in the same environment as you are in right now. So you're going to do it all over again. So I had to adjust my mindset. And from that day, I was just like, try to work and work.
Was that transition more about not just transitioning to another country, but transitioning from like a boy to a man? Did you have to quickly become that?
Yeah, definitely. Like Germany made me a man, because I was in Amsterdam as a boy, a talent, with like great qualities, and Germany made me a man. Definitely. I mean, it was for me the best transition that I could wish for. I don't think in any other country, maybe in England, but in any other country, I wouldn't have that mental strength that I had in Germany, because, Germans, their work rate is second to none. I keep telling every player who goes to Germany, you have to adjust, because they are in the woods at 7 a.m. in the morning, walking like, 6-7 miles. It's nuts. It's like I had to adjust so much, three times a day training, like pre-season. It was just like, it was crazy for me. I never knew that existed. So definitely Germany made me a man, and, changed my mental strength.
So through the years now, from that moment, when you've been at big clubs, your Cities, your AC Milans, all the big guys, when you see a Nigel De Jong coming over, a young player, a Mario, if you like, all the ability in the world, having gone through that, do you take them aside? Is that something that you really see and you want to help? Because I've seen you with young players, and I've seen you get, when we had the five-a-sides, especially days after if we didn't play a game, the frustration in you with someone fucking about and messing up a training session it blew your mind.
Yeah. I can't say that till this day. Like, I'm 35 right now. I'm training here with some of the kids. I can understand the quality is not that high here. So you can imagine, like, the stuff that I'm seeing. I'm still this day, you can't take this quality that you have for granted, because there's like, my mom always said, for you, there's 10,000 other kids that wanted to be in your position. So either you're going to stay in that position, or the next one is going to take your position. So it's on you what you're going to do with it. So that's why when I see kids with so much technical ability, so much talent, and not really seeing the bigger picture, like on a long span, and just try to ride this wave out as long as you can, it frustrates me. And 100% like when I go to a young kid and try to talk to him and just like say, like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Do they come and ask you? Do you find today that young players or people will come and ask you, or do you think it's different from when you were younger in terms of asking for advice from elders, mentors, senior players? What do you think the difference is today?
I think there's it is a difference. I mean, football is still the same game, but like the rules have been changed. And also when it comes down to like asking players, I was never really a player that asked help to other players. And I don't want to be that player that always go to young kids and just like, listen, you got to do this, you got to do that. At the end of the day, a player got to come to me. He got to ask for me, because that's much more value than going to a player and just like telling him the same stuff over and over again. I really truly believe that. And that's how you stay, and that's how you keep your respect as well as a player. Because nothing is more annoying. I know you know that as well, Joe, when an older player always comes to you and talk to you, even though he have the right intentions, but it's annoying. And at the end of the day, you will never go to that same person when you have the problems. You understand? Because you think, oh, you go again. He give me a whole speech, a lecture, whatsoever. So I learned for myself, like, you have to stay back and just give him the compliments at the right moment. And then he will get the respect for you. And then he will come by himself. So that's what I do right now. I got the agency with my manager as well. We got a lot of young kids, but they have my phone number. And once in a while, they call me. So I always stay back in the background. And whenever you need my advice, I'm here.
Right. And that's something that we talked about, Jamie, isn't it? Like, there's living in the ifs and the maybes, especially as a young player. Like, loads of times I've seen a player and I've been like, what's going on? You're going on loan? What's the plan? Are you looking to get in the first team? Young player, they're like, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. And you're just like, why don't you just be brave? Go and speak to your favorite coach, speak to your favorite senior player, ask their opinion, and get out of the unknown, get some sort of plan. Because the young guys, they're kind of like, they're just living in the moment. They're like, I get paid quite well. I get to train with the first team, but they're not thinking about the next level. That's when I know a player. When I think I know a player is someone who sees the bigger picture. The guy who can go to Hamburg and realize it's not simple, but you know what, I've got to readjust. And if I readjust, then the levels are going to keep coming, not just giving up, not just living in the unknown. That's what I think floors a lot of players, because there's so many players with talent, players with more talent than me, players with more talent with what you had. But a mentality and a mental kind of awareness is so important, I think.
Yeah, but this is shaped also over the years. And you have to have a around you that keeps you grounded. We all make our mistakes. We all make our fuck-ups. I did as well. It's not like I was the perfect player throughout my career. No, hell no. I did my fuck-ups, you know what I mean? I was out partying and doing stuff with guys that I didn't supposed to do before games or whatsoever. So I did my stuff, share a bit. But the main thing is that you always have a circle around you that keeps you grounded. And you have to have the will to listen as well. You know, that's the main thing, because like we all cocky, we all have egos, and we all think we know it better.
Mhm.
So, you know, as a football player, and when you want to reach the top, there comes a moment in time that you're gonna get stuck, and that's the moment that you have to switch that button. You have to switch that button and say, like, okay, listen, I'm either I go left and I'm gonna make it, or I go right and I'm gonna be like a nobody.
Yeah.
But you know, it's again, I hear a lot of players say, if I was at this place, I think you just had access to, you know, a great grounding, but then you've gone away and you said you had Van der Vaart. Who was, you know, you've got access, and you've just talked about the circle, and it's important for, I think, for players and people to understand that as a concept, not just for a footballer, but for in life, that you've got a very good circle around you, you know, because like you just said, you're going to get stuck. The problem is you just don't know when you're going to get stuck.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, it's just a rule in life. You know, it's not only about football. It could be any sports. It could be any job that you have in real life. You know, at the end of the day, what you want as a person is that you want to live comfortable with no worries. You want to have money on your bank account and just enjoy life to the fullest. That's what everybody wants in life. That is, you know. But how do you want to get there? Which circle do you want to surround yourself with? You know, what are your aims? What are your goals? Who are your friends? We can go on for so long, but at the end of the day, you can have all this. But if you don't have the personality and the character, it doesn't matter how big your group is. It doesn't matter how important your parents are, or your friends, or whatever. It's all about yourself at the end of the day, because nobody can do it for you.
So you played in some big games, 81 caps for the Netherlands. Yeah. So you've also played with some great players in that national team. Yeah. Big games. What comes to mind?
Big games. I had many games, but of course, like the obvious ones are the World Cup final in 2010. So that was a big game. You know, the World Cup 2014. All the games are leading up to the third place that we won against Brazil. Mm-hmm. You know, like 2008, my first big tournament as a player at 24 years old, 23 or 24 years old. You know, so the whole experience. I would say like these are the most important games when it comes down to trophy winning games. Well, I think all my caps were important because, you know, as a young kid, you just wanna play for your national team. So for the first cap that I had till the last one, they were all big.
Nigel, what's that like, man? Playing a World Cup final. Tell me that feeling. Tell me, my international career was fun. Played a lot of times, but I never got anywhere. You know, I still don't give up on it now, but I'm quite realistic in the position I'm in. You know, we got loads and loads of games, but never got anywhere. As a nation, only recently we've only got somewhere. Tell me what it's like to play in a successful World Cup right the way through the build-up to nearly winning the thing.
It's an amazing feeling, but you live in a tunnel, right? You live in this kind of tunnel, like towards the final. And till this day, I can only like remember like small bits from the build-up towards the World Cup. Like the moment that we are in the dressing room, the moment we see the whole performance, the first half. You know, like the pre-performance. I think it was Shakira that was that at that time. So, you know, like...
Yeah, you remember that.
Yeah. It was way last the noise, the thing, the trumpet.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I know you know the song. I know you have it still on your iPad.
It's on, that's a tune.
That was a tune. You know, it was way last, you know, that annoying things.
Oh, wow, what a bad... Yeah, I was at that was my first tournament. I went as the third choice for the national team.
Shit, right?
Yeah, we flopped, but it's not about us today.
I know, it's crazy. You know, like the build up towards. So I can only remember like parts, but the clear thing I remember was like the heartbreak of losing the final. in the last minute of extra time and just had to walk past that trophy like it wasn't yours today.
That is a trophy to walk past, Nigel. So that's like the trophy to walk past. You were that close to winning that trophy.
Everybody in the dressing room before we started, right? We all said, like, listen, when we walk down to the tunnel, because you have to walk past it, right?
Yeah.
Don't look at it. Don't even try to glance at it. Just walk forward. Don't look at it. It's not ours. It's not going to be for 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, we're going to see who's going to win it. So nobody looked at it. I remember I just walked straight towards it, like towards the pitch. And I even had a glance at it.
So what's your mentality going into that game? You're playing against Germany.
No,
they're the favourites. I think they were the favourites in the game.
Spain.
Spain. Sorry, missed that one. So you got probably the greatest Spanish team, like this smashing everyone. And you know you're going to have to be physical in that game. Obviously, famous tackle by you on Xabi Alonso.
Was it famous? Yeah, till this day it still is.
So, yeah.
But tell me, like, you obviously wanted to you had to stamp your authority on that game.
Yeah, we had to.
You had to, because you were playing against a team that could pass around anyone, create beautiful football.
I mean, the players that they were playing, like, they were all in their prime. Xabi Alonso, Ramos, Pujol, David Villa.
Yeah.
Like, they were in their prime. So, and the way how they played as well, they just like dominated teams. Like, for real, like they had like 60-70% of ball possession every game.
Yeah.
Leading up to that final. So we knew we reached the final not because of the football that we played, but because we were like defensive-wise so stable.
Yeah.
And with me and Van Bommel on the midfield, who was like, like securing the park in the middle of the park and just like, just make sure that nothing came through. And we were doing the same thing against Spain. I remember the coach saying, like, listen, you got to get physical with them.
Yeah.
For the team, because you got to get them out of their rhythm. Just bite every time. And this is what we did. We just, like, from the first moment, we knew we're not going to win this battle because of the technical abilities that we have and they have. But we're going to win it by mental strength.
That was a close call, though, wasn't it, Nigel? That tackle, I think it was close.
Yeah, I was very lucky that Howard Webb was the
English guy.
I knew him from City. I was playing in City in England. So I think I was very lucky, and I made an apology straight towards him. And, like, I'm always, I'm always in the games, I'm always like joking around with the referees, working with the referees, and I always try to get them into my side, make a joke here and there.
Well, they had to be on your side, Nigel, because you did push back. Like, many times we were involved in intense games, and you would just wallop someone. I think, oh shit, and somehow that big smile, you got out of it, and we're like, what?
I just smiled at them when I do a 50-50. The funny thing is, like, most of the referees, they loved it. They looked at me like, yeah, that's a good one, Nigel.
Yeah.
Well, I can't give you a red card. It's a yellow, Nigel. It's yellow. I say, I'll take a yellow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
but it almost worked. I still remember Casillas' save now, one-on-one with Robin. Like, that is just such a huge save. That the game plan would have been perfect.
Yeah, I still have a photo for me crumbling down on the ground. I was looking straight into that situation behind the ball, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and you see he missed it, and you see me crumbling down on the ground like that. You know what I mean? That was a game like whoever scores first wins the game.
Yeah.
So that was like one of those moments, a missed opportunity, but it is what it is, you know what I mean?
No, exactly, man. Like, it's certainly not a failure. That is a success. That's humongous.
Yeah.
But then I think you've then gone on. You've come back to City, yeah. And what did that experience teach you for the coming back the next season?
It was a great experience, to play the World Cup on that level. Missing out, but I got the respect obviously when I came back to City. I got the respect from the players, the staff and the club, and they were all like, wishing me good luck and talking to me over the phone whatsoever. And when I came back, everybody came to me, so it was a great experience, and I was happy that I could share it also with the players back in City. And I remember the moment that it happened, when we lost that final, because you lose the final, come back, you get a parade, because everybody's happy, and then you go back to reality. And I remember when I was on holiday, I was in Ibiza, and I said to my wife, I said, like, I want to start again, man. I want to be in the dressing room. I want to feel the joy again. You know what I mean? Because everybody was just like yapping about like the tackle and the missed opportunity and this and that. I just wanted to be back in that like safe haven, like from the city dressing room, because that was just like one of the boys, and nobody would judge you about what you did or that you final, or it was just like a family. So I remember telling me that to my wife, like, I want to start again. She was like, you start again? You just stopped playing football? Like, can you just enjoy some family time? It's like, no, I don't want to play. I want to play football. So I was happy to come back in the city dressing room for that preseason.
What did you bring to the guys then, from that? You had a great bunch, but you've just missed out on the World Cup, and then you coming into a Premiership season. Was that, were you, did it drive you on to do greater things in the club? Yeah, definitely. Because you cannot forget, we were out there for a mission, right? Mm-hmm. So they were spending on players that summer.
Yeah.
I think David Silva came in, Carlos Tevez came in, Carlos was already there.
The signings were David, they were Kun, they were Yaya.
Kolarov, Yaya.
Was it Mario as well?
Jerome Boateng. That was that summer, remember, in 2010.
I came back from loan. That was when I first came back, and I was like, Jesus.
Given was the first goalie. You came back from loan, became the first goalkeeper. So you cannot forget, we were out there with a mission, and you know what I mean? Like, everybody came in with a different experience. There was more and more quality in the squad, so that gave us a boost. And you know what Joe said in the beginning? It was just like borderline aggressive. Everybody wanted to play because we had so much qualities. And we knew, like, if you're not playing, you're not going to play. You're not going to play for at least 20, 30 games if somebody stays fit. You know what I mean? So it was just like everybody was fighting for the position. So almost everybody with the mindset of we have to win that first trophy. And we did.
Yeah. That's the greatest thing for me. That's the thing I enjoyed the most. Like, I loved winning the league, but like winning that first trophy for that club in the kind of modern era was, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that was one of the finest moments. I remember like the train trip. Remember and just like see all the fans and just like laughing, playing Mario Kart with each other, like just losing herself up, in a group and just joking around. He had Mario acting dumb on the train and like in the hotel, the meetings, you know what I mean? And just the whole build up towards that.
Yeah.
And knowing that we beat United in the semis, for us was like a no-brainer that we would win against Stoke because we had qualities, you know what I mean? But a final was a final. A final was a final. So
intense.
It could go anyway. So
then, do you remember like 3 days later we had to qualify for the Champions League? We'd partied, we'd celebrated, then we had to play Stoke again. Like, that was a huge achievement. The club had never done that. Like, I'd never done that. You'd done it, but that was like dreams were getting made.
Yeah. I mean, like we were that team that paved the way for all the success that City has right now. You know what I mean? I mean, till this day, I can go to City and like they welcome me with open arms. Same to you. It's like I consider legends in their eyes because we waved that part for them. So it's a great feeling. And what you said, that first trophy is always the most important, and it's a great achievement.
So the great of what it came. Tell me about how it finished and where your mentality was to go from there.
At City?
Yeah.
Well, the mentality was always I would stay at City as long as I can. Trying to pen a new deal. I just got injured in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I was a regular. I got injured. I broke a bone in my toe, my big toe, and I was out for like 2-3 months. And then Garrett and Yaya took over the midfield, and they did great that year, the beginning of the year. Gas really came up, and he was really an important figure in our team. So I was not really playing well, or not playing as much as I wanted. Sorry. So I was out of contract at the end of the year.
Yeah,
so
you did that quite a lot. Your contracts have always run quite close, haven't they? You've always run quite close.
3 years. Oh, yours, you mean?
Yeah, as in you've always run. From what I remember of you, you always like to be towards your last year of contract to give you obviously the power. That's your kind of managerial strategy was strong.
Always 3 years, not longer than 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So you always have the power in your own hands. It can go both ways. And in my way, I'm in a position to claim a lot. But from the stuff that I did for the club the previous 2 years, I had enough leverage, to talk my way in a new contract. And they wanted a new contract, but they want to do it on the base that I was earning at that stage.
Yeah.
And you want to give me less money? I said for the stuff that I did, and and then I had to bust up with Mancini.
Yeah.
I was talking to him, often, not only for myself, but thinking about the team again. But it came also out of frustration that I was not playing.
Yeah.
So, and then at the end of the day, it was just a mixture of not renewing my contract, or the management don't want to renew my contract on my terms, the frustration that I had with Mancini. So I decided to leave.
Yeah. The end of that year it unraveled a lot for a lot of people, didn't it? Because it was all so good. It was so good, and like I say, the shelf life. It was just like people. It was all out war, and people were falling left, right, and center.
I remember when I left, I was the first one to left from that team, and after that, it was just like it was going downhill. I left. We were winning the Charity Shield against Chelsea, the 3-2, August, the 27th of August, I think.
Yep.
We signed a new deal in Milan.
Yeah.
3 days after, I signed a new deal in Milan. So I played that game, the Charity Shield, my last trophy with you guys, and then I left. So it was just one of those moments, it was painful, but I had to decide what was best for my career as well, because you cannot forget I was a regular at the national team.
Of course.
The Euros was around the corner. The Euros in Switzerland, in Poland, Ukraine.
Yep.
So, for me, I had to make a decision. Do I stay on the bench? Do I have the security from the manager that I'm going to play a lot? You know what I mean? I had to think about my position. So Milan came around the corner, and it was a great experience.
What did you learn in Milan? What was that experience for you?
That experience for me was a great experience. Different culture, different language, different vibe, different way of how they look at football as a whole. It was really defensive wise. I knew that already a little bit from Mancini. We were always complaining this tactical stuff again, 11 against nobody. Boring. But I felt right back at it when I came back.
I experienced the same thing. That was when they were great. I think they've one of the great 90s Italian, and they've never really changed from it. That's what they do. That's what works, and that's how they do things.
They call it catenaccio.
Right.
Catenaccio means back and just defend and just go for the counter-attack. 1-0, no pretty football, just results only.
Yeah.
I learned that in Italy. But I learned also that you have to have that 100% commitment to do your job. And I'm not talking about technical wise, but again mentally, but different than Germany. Not physically, but mentally, 100% focused to do your job and to execute a plan. We've been training a week in Italy on a certain plan, and you have to have 90 minutes on Saturday or Sunday to execute it.
Who did you play with?
That was quiet, Jamie.
Who did you play with, Nigel, in AC Milan? Who were the guys in the midfield with you? Who was in your team then?
At that team, we had Ambrosini. He was the captain at that time. Ambrosini. Let me see. Riccardo Montolivio. He was there. Sulemontari.
Yeah.
Prince Boateng was on the midfield. Right. Flamini was there. Mathieu Flamini.
Okay.
I missed out a couple of ones, but that was the starters, the regulars in that time. Mm-hmm. And then Robinho was there, Kaká was there, Mario came back. He was trying to come and hunt me again after City. So he came back to Italy and Milan. So we had a great team.
Right. What advice do you give to your players with your agency now? Then, based on the kind of career that you've had, you said you had a strategy with moves and only signing for a certain number of years. What advice do you provide?
I think just stay true to yourself. I know it's quite hard nowadays, and don't always thinking about the big money shot. Like that big money, big payout, because it's not for everybody who can play till they're 35 to 35 years old on the highest level. Just stay true to yourself and just take the maximum out of your career. I mean, take the maximum effort. I mean, it's a big difference between saying stuff and doing stuff. And I noticed that with a lot of these kids, they're always saying, I want to be the best. I do this, I do that. And when you see them at home, they're like online playing PlayStation and doing other stuff instead of working. So
we both give him some, Joe,
yeah,
with that statement.
I'm with that.
Yeah, both.
That's a big difference. And that's what I try to say, and I'm always giving it to you straight. They know that as well. And until now on, like my agency and me, we are on the same line when it comes down to recruiting talent. When you don't have the mental strength and the willing to take the maximum out of your career, you can go to the next one. We don't care about money or whatsoever. It's just about what's best for their careers.
Yeah, love that. And that's, do you feel that's because that's how you were and you're imparting that on others? I think, if you look at lots of different management, they'll have different philosophies, but yours sounds like it's a philosophy based on how you've approached your game and career.
Yeah, I mean, every part is different. Mine is different than Joe's, for example. But everybody has to do it in their own rights and in their own way. So I can't give you the blueprint of my career and say like this will be the exact same thing for you and this will help you out. But I can only give you bits and pieces of what I think will do in your career. So every career is different. I know that, and these kids know that as well. And that comes again also with the fact that social media is a big platform right now to make extra money, to expose themselves more, to have more, I would say, distractions when it comes down to football. So, it's something that we all have to learn to cope with this new generation coming up.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I just think making it your number one is just is the most important thing. If you really want to mentor or be an agent of a player, like that's such a refreshing message to give out, because you see young players and even people who don't play football, like they don't see it as football. They see it as being rich. They see it as being loved. They see it as having loads of Instagram followers, which is fine. Like that is a great part of it. Like what a fantastic thing to have. But that only comes with hard work. That only comes with dedication. And it's amazing the feeling you get as a footballer winning a game, or winning a trophy, or getting a move to somewhere that you want to be. Like those feelings, you cannot put them in numbers. You cannot put that in money. You cannot put that in Instagram likes. Like they are fucking huge feelings that you never forget.
Exactly.
And they're there for everyone. That's there for everyone.
Oh, true. Well, you know what I always say? Think about it there, Joe. What is the best feeling? The best feeling is the way to success. Remember, the way to success is the best feeling ever. When you are to maintain it is way harder, not more satisfying than the way to success.
Yeah.
You mean the journey, Nigel?
Success. The journey to success, most satisfying is the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
But to maintain there and just to stay successful is way harder. It's not as satisfying as the way and the journey towards it. And that's what I always say. It's that journey towards it. 100%.
Yeah.
No, I agree, man. I agree.
You have to be ready on the journey. You have to be equipped on the journey as well.
Of course. We forget about it, you know? We forget about it sometimes as football players because we have so much stuff on our minds. You know, everybody wants something for you. You live in this bubble. You know, like you can have everything, you know, everything's for free. Go restaurants to eat for free, this one, this. So we forget about the whole stuff, you know, but at the end of the day, it's what you want for yourself. The journey towards it, to make people happy, to make your family live comfortable, you know, and that's, you know, like a lot of us, we are givers, you know, we are pleasers, we are not takers.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that you do is for a good cause. And the cause is what? You have to decide what the cause is.
Yeah. So you just, I guess, a couple more things that you went to the US.
Yeah.
You went to the US to one of the big teams there. How was that transition across the Atlantic?
It was big though. all different ball game over there. I mean, Los Angeles.
Why?
It's just everything is big, everything is huge, everything is just like, you know, like, and we're talking about football and life, but football is just, you know, it's just a different system. There's no relegation. You know, you have playoffs. You can't relegate. So there is, you know, there's a whole different kind of setup there. And like, sometimes I was like, living in the West Coast, I had to go to the East Coast. I was staying over there for 12 days because we played 3 days at the East Coast because the travel was just too much. So we stayed there for 12 days. You know, away from the family, and just go hopping around from like Chicago to Vancouver to whatsoever. Yeah.
So go on, US, strange.
Yeah, strange. So the US is just like a strange place when it comes down to playing soccer. I enjoyed it though because we had a great team with Stevie G, Keane, the Santos, Giovanni De Santos, Coley came, Ashley Cole came. You know, we had a good team. But it was just like one of those, like, for me, it was not football. You know, I stayed there over a year. I had some issues also with the management. And then I went back to Europe. But the US as a whole, I think it was not suited for my type of football.
So what did you learn anything out there? Like, it's easy to learn when you're at AC Milan. It's easy to learn when you're at Hamburg. You know, Manchester City, winning things, national team. What did you learn about yourself out there? What did you learn about you? What did you learn about football? All those things. It's easy to learn when you're winning. It's easy to learn when you're the man.
I just learned that I was not the type of player to play here. You know, like the traveling, like East to West Coast, like just the type of football they were playing. I just learned that it was not like my type of football, and I was not done with Europe. You know, because I thought I was done with Europe because I was not really playing in the national team anymore. There was a shift with the young kids coming in, like they were like ready to say goodbye to my generation. So I thought I was done. It's like, you know what, I just go to the States. If the opportunity comes, I'll go. But I just realized that like I was not done with Europe. You know, I just love the game too much to just go out and just like leave what it is.
Yeah. And then you came back to the cauldron.
I came back to the kebab and the dinners. I went to Turkey.
And how was that?
Galatasaray. Yeah, it was a great experience. Chaotic though. I mean,
intense, right?
You guys been to Istanbul before, right?
I've played once. I played Gail's team a few years ago, and like they're the least. Do you know what I mean? They had like 15,000. It was nothing. But that was one place I dreamed of playing in one of those mad games. Tell me about the derbies and stuff.
Absolute crazy. It's just like when the derby comes up, it's already like a week before. The tension is already in the city because you got to understand, like Fenerbahce is the Asian part of Europe. And then you have like, Europe, and there's Istanbul, and there's like Galatasaray, it's like the Europe side. So it's like you're in between two kind of parts. And it's just nuts. It's just nuts, like the whole build up towards that game. A week before, people already go crazy, already calling you by name, stuff, and things like that. Yeah. And then go towards the game. And then everything is just blocked off. You know, roads are blocked off because like they will throw eggs on the bus, stones on the bus. It's proper hate.
Yeah.
It's just proper hate. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like I've seen a lot over the years, but like the pyros, firework everywhere. It's just nuts.
Like that turns you on, right? That's what football's about. Those kind of big moments.
Yeah, that's what football is all about. I mean, yeah, of course. That's what you live for. And I realized like that's what I was missing when I was
when you were in America.
I was in America, proper like, derbies, the passion for the football. And that's what you like as a football player, because that's where you get your energy from, full stadium, 50,000 people, 60,000 people going against you, like aggressive, throwing things on the pitch. It was just crazy.
And who's named you? Because I think your character's coming through, and in these times, and being able to deal with that. But you've got some nicknames.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm counting 3 here already. Lawnmower, Destroyer, Pitbull.
Yeah.
Any more?
I don't know, man. I got a couple of nicknames, so we will not tell that on the camera.
Okay.
Definitely knows that, so I will not tell that on the camera.
Those are changing room nicknames, right?
Nicknames, exactly.
Okay.
These are the most common ones.
Yeah.
And, obvious is because the type of player that I am and the type of game that I play.
Yeah.
You brought so much security to a team, Nigel, when you were in that position, just in front of the back four, like.
Yeah, I know. I was a wild bull, man. I was going.
You were wild, but you were so freaking disciplined as well. Like it was a unique combination of understanding that role. It's a special role, and especially with how we played, even the 60-minute move of, pushing Yaya on, and then it was literally a back four, a goalkeeper, and everyone else, and Gaz to an extent, he kind of linked a little bit more, and then everyone else could do what they wanted, and we just defended.
True.
Is that when you enjoyed it the most? When do you enjoy football the most?
I think it's City in the Premier League. I enjoyed it the most. I got a spell in Milan that I enjoyed as well after my injury.
Yeah.
But City, I enjoyed it the most because like the type of player that I am, got really how you say that, appreciated in England.
Yeah, really, yeah.
So, if every time I made a tackle, I went to a 50-50, the crowd went nuts. So for my type of player, England is the best league by far because of the appreciation that they have for these type of players. So I would say my City time.
I think Man City would identify you with even more than any big club maybe could, because a big club that's, historically huge, they're used to winning things. They're used to, like the Ronaldo. United have got the Ronaldos and huge players coming through. But Manchester City were the kind of the family club, were the people's club, who were used to going through hard times, and literally they could have gone through the years watching games, literally getting a buzz out of a fight or a tackle because the team wasn't necessarily going to win. So that was in the City fans. So you kind of doing that as well, combined with the team winning, was just, it was a dream match, and that's why you will always be forever loved at that club, and rightfully so.
Yeah, it's a nice compliment. Thanks for that. But I heard that many times also from the fans. Because I was the type of player that embodied that spirit. Like it was a player on the pitch. They can relate that. They could relate themselves in a player like me. And I was quite close with the fans and also with the community. So it was a hard-working class kind of club. Like fans were hard workers. So yeah, they just loved that. And what you said, it didn't matter. It didn't matter like if you win or you would lose. As long as you give your heart out there on the pitch and try to win games, that was enough for them. So yeah, I could really relate, and that's why like it was painful for me to leave.
A huge expansive career, changed your mind, changed you as a personality. Always had that footballing talent, but mentalities, how you're going to work, how you're going to execute a plan, how you're going to work in an environment. How are you going to give that back to football, or do you intend to give that back to football? Because I see someone like you, I see some players, and I think he has to be a coach, he has to be a manager. I think you can give more than that. You've got your players that your agency, but What's the plan? What's the plan when you do hang those boots up?
Well, the plan is to stay in football, but in a different kind of role. You know, I never see myself as being a manager, being on the pitch. I mean, I love myself. To be a manager, I'll be 10 years old straight away to the first after the first job. So I won't be doing, but I see myself something like in the background, you know, behind the scenes, doing a managerial role from a club. Try to lead a club in a different direction, maybe, and also be managing kids. You know, managing kids in a different way. It could be like being an agent, or in a different matter. So I see myself definitely back in football. I mean, you know, this is what we love to do. It's in our blood. You know, we can't just step away from the game totally. So in a way, we always be in there. But I love also the fact that I'm a pundit. You know, I do a lot of stuff for beIN Sports. I do a lot of shows, and throughout shows, you know, you've been talking to people and you see different kind of stories and different kind of sides of player. And I think that lays me, you know, like the show that you've been doing, for example, right now. You know, you see a different kind of side of a player. So there's also kind of as a player that I am and as a person that I am. So I'd like to do different things, but I will not shy away to step away from football totally.
And what part of the world? You've lived everywhere. What part of the world do you want to be?
It's a difficult question, man. You know,
open, still open. There's nowhere you crave to be home. It's basically where your job takes you.
No, like we live here in Doha and we love it out here. So it could also be that I'll be here, especially I will be here till the World Cup 2022.
Yeah.
I think, you know, who knows?
You never know. That's the key. Well, you've shown you're willing to travel. You showed you're willing to uproot, and that's only going to help.
Definitely.
Final question, Nigel. What would you say to your 17-year-old self again? For knowing what you know now, and you're looking back, and you've had 17 years of a career, what would you say to the young Nigel who's just broke through? Because there's a lot of young Nigels watching this and listening.
Yeah. Well, sometimes just swallow your pride, man. Swallow your pride and just ride that wave, and not always speak up for everything. Stay true to yourself. Yeah, you have to speak up, but sometimes swallow your pride because it's the best for yourself and the best for your team as well.
Right.
Big message.
Great message. Love it. It's been a pleasure. I know, you know, just watching a few clips of you, and I know how important you were in those foundational years of, you know, of the success in Manchester. But you know what Joe's told me about you, and you know that comes across. So,
Jay, I'm sure you're joining me in this. Just want to say thank you to Nigel. Crazy times, but we've managed to make something really special here. I really look forward to this one. You know, I can't speak highly enough about you as a player, but as a person, someone that I look up to, someone I really respect, and someone that I want people to see. So hopefully we've got that message across. Always feel free to send messages. Let us know if you want us to speak to Nigel about anything, and if you've got any questions from what's gone on, because I think that was really interesting insight into mentality, swallowing your pride, and being the bigger person. So thank you, Nigel De Jong.
Thank you for having me. Sorry, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Class, man. Stay safe. Thank you very much.